people, especially the seniors that are there, that got up early enough to get there, both, you could see a grandpa there, you could see a grandma there. What are people voting for is the other question. Clearly, those seniors have made up their minds about something and someone. To what extent do you think this is going to be what will be the base of the election? People coming there because what candidate A, B, C, D, E, right up to the 15 of them have told us in the past. Do you think voting is going to go along those lines, or people just voting in block because they were told to vote one way or the other?
I don't think so, because that will play a part, because, you know, you have an incumbent governor. This is an election between an incumbent, continuity, and contenders. The new contenders are promising heaven and earth also. At the same time, continuity in the sense that some of these electorates are going to look at the performance of the present governor and decide whether they want continuity.
Well, when you say heaven and earth,
yes, well, you know, as politicians,
not to deride whatever it is that they have said, but you know, they are making their own pitch to the people as well.
Yes, I take your point, but don't forget, in politics, people promise a pot of gold, but at the end of the day, what happens, whether that's the reality or not, we can debate that from now till Christmas. But the point I'm making is that why are the electorates coming out? At the end of the day, some of the veterans, the aged people you talk about, some of them have been in that system for laundering the UPN, the NPN. They're used to it. They know the importance of election. But the question you asked the distinguished gentleman about the youth participating in this election, I look at that today. Well, if you want the youth to participate, INEC and other the electoral empires too must try as much as possible to embrace the social media. Look at this election. It's 1.5 million people who will decide who will be the next governor of that state. But what we don't have is a breakdown. Out of that 1.5 million, how many are the youths who have collected their PVC? How many are in the middle age? How many are the aged? You see, once you have that breakdown, then we can decide what will determine the election. And another thing we need to embrace, if we want the youth to participate, is that one, we must encourage what is called proxy vote, whereby, you know, as I do, sometimes you can sit in your house, even before the election, either 3 days before the election day, they send you the ballot, you can just stick it and shop it in the post, and that will still count. And at the same time, people can still use the internet and cast their, but we haven't reached that stage yet. Yeah, we haven't reached that stage. But if we want the youth to participate, that is something we need to embrace. Exactly, that's the point I'm making. And also the youth too. Because you see, we cannot, the youth participation you are talking about, we can't isolate it from the myriad of problems we have in the country. Because at the same time, if the youths can't even go to school for the last 5 months, when there is an election, there is a possibility that they will not come out to vote. If the youths can't come out of university and get a job, there is a possibility when there is an election, they will not come out to vote. Okay. So what we need to do is not about not too young run to bill and what have you. It's just create that society whereby the dividends of democracy will flow both to the aged, the youth, and the middle class. That is the way to go.
So are you also persuaded that indeed people will think about the issues in coming out and make up their own minds? That
I think
because the point he made,
what is using as the negative aspect is a positive aspect for me, because that should spur people to say, now I'm going to vote for who I wanted to vote for, who could deliver these issues that he has raised for me as an electorate. But I don't think what the most important thing is what he has earlier said, which is the technological aspect of it. The
convenience
of voting. The convenience of voting. Nigerian youth are not that patient any longer. You understand? So they are technically savvy.
Well, but I don't know whether to contend your point, sir. Because when you look at youths that we see on social media spending time to get their PVC cards, the impatient youth would not allow such a crowd to amass. But we are seeing it differently now. Do you think there's an evolution in the consciousness of the youth You must have seen these crowds as well.
I'm dealing with a lot of youth, and I have opportunity of speaking at different fora on youth emancipation or youth empowerment. So I understand that the youth, what they want to listen to, they don't have all the time to come and sit down or wait for 4 hours, 5 hours. They don't have that time. And that is why you can see that when they are doing Big Brothers, they vote more on Big Brothers than coming to vote on an election day. Why so? Because Big Brother have gave them a platform to do it online. And that is what he is talking about. And that is where we must get to if we really want the youth to participate as expected. But now we can't get it done.
Okay.
But the only thing is that I can also assure you that the youth are getting more aware about it. But when you have some of them, today even have majority of them that are shouting on social media, they don't have PVC. They don't have that patience to go and queue up for hours.
Okay.
They would rather go to watch football or go to watch other things on entertainment than sitting down to go and. But that's a mistake they are making.
Well, that's what you are seeing, because it's like the society is trying to persuade us via social media that the youth has sort of clued in, has cottoned on, they've sort of woken up. Is that an exaggeration?
I won't call it an exaggeration, but we must not unnecessarily be carried away with that, because once you sit in the convenience of your house, nobody monitor what you are putting on social media. And if you now use that to judge, and I take the distinguished gentleman's point, that how many of the youths...
It's not the senators, sir.
It
is only senators that have that to distinguish.
It was
an assemblyman. That is honorable.
All right, the honorable...
Distinguished honorable.
Distinguished honorable's point. Thank you for that correction. But the point is this. We need to embrace technology if we want youth participation.
That is going forward.
That is going forward. And it's not limited to that. The youth too need to come out and ask the right question. Because sometimes what you realize is that even if you interact with them during rally or meeting or consultation, whatever you call it, you will realize that the youths are not even asking the right question. They're not asking the politicians the right question. What are we going to do to solve some of the issues I highlighted earlier? So I want a situation whereby if I go on the campaign feed to interact with the youth, I want them to ask me a question. What am I going to do to solve all the myriad of issues affecting the youth, affecting citizens in this country? And that is the right way to go. But as for this election, INEC also needs to try as much as possible to find a way whereby they can reach out to them and let them know that this election is about their tomorrow.
No, talking about INEC, INEC, most people have been giving INEC credit on their effort. INEC has promised that it will deliver a credible election. There's question of security of the election, not just from ruffians and that kind of a thing, but also the question that INEC said is going to confront head-on, the question of buying or selling of votes. A lot of people just make that their main consideration, apparently, from what we've been told. That's why it's this much of a concern. If INEC has said that it is a concern for the Electoral Commission to have noticed it, then it's not a playing matter at all. I don't know what was concluded with the situation regarding this thing we're talking about now in Ekiti. And we hope that it won't rear its ugly head.
I want to believe that this particular election, the INEC have provided us with a bit of an answer to that. You can't go in to vote with your phone with this particular. But in the election in Ekiti, they went in and vote and snap their ballot paper. Now that they don't have that opportunity of doing so today, I don't think that's going to count much. You can give me whatever thing you want to give me. You can give me money, but I have to vote my conscience. So for me, I think...
Even the idea is don't give money. It's illegal to give money.
Yeah, it's illegal. But what I'm saying is that even if they were giving, that still does not... even you that want to give money now, you want to give because you want to see proof. But yes, once there's no proof that when you give me money, I also work for you. So, I mean, it's going to reduce the level of vote buying in this particular election. So I know it's obtainable.
It's an issue out there.
It's a major issue. But with this new dimension to it, that you can't go in with your phone and you can't be seen snapping your ballot paper. If you do so, you can be arrested. I think it will curb that issue of vote buying.
Okay. Let's find out our man Demola Lawrence. He's in Osun, so we can get a sort of a situation report. Hello, Demola. Well done. Good to see you. What's your station? And give us talk to us about the situation report there.
Okay, good morning, Yuri. Of course, I'm in Iwo. Earlier this morning, I was actually in Iwo, where the Accord Party candidate, of course, cast his votes very early this morning. The hard work staff of the INEC were very, very much in line. They came very early to the polling units. One of the things that we should give INEC kudos for is that looking at the 2015 election into 2019, one of the things that has improved is the logistics and the manpower that has been able to move in time to the different polling units. I think this is a kudos that we need to give to them. Having said that, the process has been somewhat a bit of smooth. Why I said so? Because the beavers and in between mixed reactions. There are some good, there are some situations are bad, where they find it very difficult to accredit people. Maybe in the count of 10 people, you will accredit 7 or 8 of them. Then the 2 might have to wait till they have to accredit another set of people. Then they cast their vote. That was what happened in this in Ileobo. But right now, I'm actually in Iwo, one of the biggest cities in Osun State, and it's indeed a very large turnout. You can see at my back, it's a very large turnout at my back, where you see, a whole lot of people coming out to vote for the candidate of their choice. And I must tell you, it's been a very interesting one to see that what happened in Ekiti was the fact that we didn't see a lot of youths on the queue. But this time around, it has changed. One of the things that I noticed, because when I went to Ilogo, the same thing, here in Ilogo, a lot of youths are on the queue, making sure that they want to cast their vote for whoever they want to. And you also need to give them to the destiny. Otherwise, from the security angle, everybody has just been doing the business of the day, which is, of course, cast the vote and make sure that everything is in order here in Igbo.
It's an interesting point you make, that there you can see a lot of young people, or younger or youngish people. They are interested. That where we're coming from, we're coming from Irabiji Center. We saw a lot of seniors. Are seniors also interspersed with the youths there?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that also happened while I was in Ilogo, a 95-year-old man said he has been voting since 1964. So one can calculate that since 1964. He has been participating in every voting election that has happened in this country, and the same polling unit, it never changed. So if you look at the mixture of the young and the aged ones, of course, you want to say you have more of the elderly ones, but we must also give the youth the kudos. It's a different ball game to be on social media, but this time around, they want to put their money where their mouth is. So they come out in probably in their large numbers to make sure that they cast their votes. So it's a very good encouragement that they're coming out to do this. And that is what everybody has been clamoring for, that they should not just stay on the social media and make all the noise. They must make sure they come out and perform their civic duty.
It's an interesting scene, the pictures that we're seeing. Maybe that 95-year-old that you spoke about, even people that are challenged with mobility have nevertheless made the effort to come up there. So that speaks to the consciousness, shall we say, of the people of Osun wanting to vote, both young and old. So everything is going fine there. What in terms of the crowd that the officials have to process? How would you say it is there where you are at? Is it a normal crowd, an okay crowd for the facilities available, or are they overrun in any way, or not at all?
Okay, Yari, you first mentioned the persons with disability. I think that's another kudos that we need to give to INEC. They make sure that every persons with disability are given priority. Now, priority list, of course, are the persons with disability, the aged ones, and of course, women who are pregnant are given priority list so they're able to cast the vote. And of course, they move on to the next phase of the election, which is of course leaving the environment. Then you talked about the massive turnout. Yes, the massive turnouts and how the security agencies have been able to manage it. I must tell you, from my point of view, where I've been, they've been able to manage that to a large extent, where they have been able to see that everybody is doing the business of the day. Law and order are being kept. Nobody is going out of line. The agents of the different political parties are keep like 20 meters away from every polling unit. And if any rancor wants to happen, even the people are the ones who tell whoever wants to make any challenge around the polling unit. The people are the one who come to the defense and say nothing must happen here. Everybody must go about the business of the day, of course, which is of course voting. So, in terms of security, the security agents have been able to do their own due diligence, making sure that everybody is in line, and the people, of course, have make sure that they are on the line, having to cast their votes.
In fact, I was going to touch on the security point that you've sort of put in the mix right there. I was going to ask for your assessment of it. There are aspects to security, part of which we're seeing here, just making sure that the organization doesn't collapse. Then the other aspect to security, of course, is the whole matter of, the bad practice of vote buying or selling. It's a part of security as well. What are you hearing? Are people, are people voting on the issues? What is motivating people from, shall we say, you're overhearing conversations? How are people, are they looking at issues?
Okay, that's a very interesting conversation. Why? Because leading to these elections, two things have always been on the table. One is the issue of vote buying and vote selling, which of course the police have said they will do everything possible and make sure that they arrest and of course charge anyone who is caught in the act of vote buying and selling and around the polling unit. And secondly, one of these things in terms of security that you've also talked about is the fact the issue of court groups that of course leading to the election that have come men in some hotspots around the state. And for now, we've not seen any of such. While I was in Olulade, nothing of such has happened. From my own point of view that I've seen, people are already talking to themselves. Of course, we need to vote whoever we want to vote for. Why? Because the person needs to give us education. The person needs to provide health care for us. The person needs to, the economy of the state needs to turn around. They'll be saying that in clusters. Why? Because we want to vote for this kind of person, and this person can do this for us. So they've been saying that in clusters. Of course, whether they are vote buying or selling, from where I've been so far, I must say, from where I've been so far, nothing of such has happened. I am not saying it doesn't happen elsewhere, but where I've been so far, nothing of such has happened. And of course, I must also tell you, the Olulade Bureau just finished casting his vote just a few minutes ago. And his people were also were cheering up. Everybody's happy. Some person said they have been here since like 6:30, even before the INEC ad hoc staff were here at the polling units.
Because of the seriousness with which this whole question of attempts to buy or sell votes is being taken, INEC had told us that it was engaging with EFCC in this campaign against the nefarious, to borrow popular police word, the Nefarious Act. in the election in Ekiti, we were saying that they weren't in evidence. They might have been there, we weren't seeing them. Is that the same situation there? One, do you get the sense that INEC is in there casting an eye over happenings? And two, can they be identified? Because sometimes, you need to show that there's somebody watching you.
Of course, one of the things I can tell is that EFCC is around. In Lobo, I saw them making sure that their eyes are around, trying to see what is happening. And police have said they are working with them when they had their briefing two days ago. That they are working with EFCC to make sure the issue of vote buying and vote selling will be curtailed. Might not be brought down to the barest minimal, but at least to a level will be curtailed. So, and of course, one of the polling units I've been to in Go here, I also saw two of them around. I've not seen anyone at this particular polling unit that I have, but one of the two polling units I've been to in Go, I saw them. So they are around trying to make sure that the vote buying of the thing is properly being curtailed. We can't shy away from the fact that there are people who are selling and buying votes in some areas, in some polling units during this election. But one thing that is very certain that the police have assured, and of course INEC has said, is that anybody caught in the act will be arrested and charged to court.
Well, thank you very much, Demola. We'll give you a break now so you can go see some more and report back to us what's going on. Thanks a lot. That's our man Demola Lawrence out there. There are other, Kingsters out there as well, and we should be hearing from them in due course. Mr. Femi, I know. What do you think? It's different from, where did we start from? Iragbiji.
Yes.
It's different from there, but it's still, a substantial crowd as well. And in terms of the organizations that we could see behind Demola Lawrence, they also have their work cut out for them.
Yes, definitely. And we must, even by and large, we must commend all the candidates. Because the turnout is not going to happen without the candidates' efforts. And they've been able to get people to come out and exercise their franchise. And that is quite commendable. And that is something we need to build on. As to the security agencies here and there, the EFCC, that's one beauty of visible policing. It can cause a distraction in the sense that if you want to perpetrate any crime or engage in any criminal activity, the fact that the EFCC are there, the DSA, it has a deterrent effect, and that is something which we need to commend. And the only thing I'm more concerned about is that whether we are militarizing the whole political issue, because if you look at the deployment of the police, you have about 30. One deputy DIG, 4 AIG, 4 commissioner of police, 15 deputy commissioner of police, 30 assistant commissioner of police, and then you have chief superintendent of police. When you look
haven't
at
mentioned the civil defense corps.
And the civil, I think they said they are deploying about 11,000 to something, 11,236 officers.
Well, all of that quote unquote power is in there. The power of force, but we didn't see any evidence of it. Yes, the camera can't show us everything and all angles at the same time, but it didn't look like it was an issue that would give us concern, because I would suggest that maybe we need as much, so far as they can deploy themselves professionally, discreetly, and everybody knows that they are there.
And ensure that the election is peaceful. I think that is the most important thing. And I think...
but his point is that you don't want to scare people away.
Yeah, well, it's going to fade away as time goes on with the deployment of technology into our voting process. I believe that things like this will definitely fade away. But the most important aspect that you spoke earlier about is the issue of vote buying and the EFCC arresting them and so on and so forth. I think all those things are things that we should expect this time around that government and the INEC must work on. And they have done that to ensure that they make provision for the policemen, for security to be taken care of, so that nobody will claim maybe it's because of the issue of insecurity that made them not to come out to vote. I also mentioned the issue of political candidates.
The efforts of the candidates.
The efforts of the candidates to bring. You should also understand that in Osun, there are so many tendencies that will make them to come out. You understand? Because when you look at the last election and what transpired even after they post the election till date, you understand that there are so many tendencies that will make people to say, is either I'm for continuity or I am anti-continuity, and so on and so forth. And even those who are anti-continuity, you see them, they are the 14 other candidates that are splitted into 14. So you just have one person that everybody want to take over his seat. And in doing so, a lot of tendencies will come up, and we'll see that people will want always, because politics is about interest. So people will always want to come out to defend their own interests. And that is what is happening in Osun. And Osun is politically savvy than some of the, even than Lagos. We must get it clear. Than Lagos. Here in Lagos, a lot of people just feel that our vote won't count. But majority of those people in Osun, they are either politicians or civil servants or farmers. So those are the three things that they do in Osun.
And their consciousness, their political consciousness is high.
Is high than any other places. So, and that is why we will continue to see things like this happening. That people will want to come out to say, I want to go and vote. Because they know it's going to come again, maybe in 2023, because of the issue of governorship and other presidential and other elections that will take place in 2023. But for us, we know that once we do one election now, it's another 4 years before you can do another. So, but for them, they take it as a profession, and they are passionate about it. They are not going to joke about it. They know that this man who have worked for them for years, they need to compensate the man. So they are coming out to say, I'm coming to vote. So, and that is
but that's on the part of just one of the 15. As you were saying, some might want, to stay with continuity. Others might want a fresh start. Say, look, it's not without prejudice. We think, depending on what they've been told, what they've been sold, it's at this particular exercise that we shall see how effective either the record of continuity of the incumbent or how effective the selling of a fresh start has been.
The other thing I'm concerned, I take your point, Mr. Yori. Can I invite you to take my point? And my point is that for those who are still at home, still watching events, who have not fully made up their mind whether they should go out, I think I will urge them to try as much as possible and go out to avoid what happened in 2018 or so. The initial election was inconclusive, and then we had a rerun. And then after that rerun, about 480 votes, that was what decided the outcome. So what I'm saying is that we don't want that this time around. People should come out, and they should come out peacefully. The security agencies are there, and from the reports so far, at least their presence make a difference. People are still conducting.
But from what Shegun is saying, they need very little invitation, being politically conscious and savvy.
Yes, but at the same time, don't forget, politics and conflicts. You can't rule it out. And violence has also been part of the elections in Nigeria from time immemorial, because anytime there's an election, there will be violence here and there. But we are addressing the issues, and I'm not trying to belabor the point that we are addressing it. But my major concern is that with the deployment, the 11,000, this and that. It is possible for some parents to caution their children that, look,
Okay.
be very careful. At the same time, it is still possible for some people to stay back and say, let's see what happens when it is about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. I will now come out. So definitely,
Okay.
we will get there eventually. That's
Indeed.
my take.
Well, as you said, you don't want to belabor the point, but there are realities staring us straight in the face.
Yeah.
And speaking with some of the candidates, there was no denying there being tension in the air in the electoral.
In the build-up to the election.
Yes, in the build-up to the election. But there was the peace committee. The document was signed.
Which some party did not participate.
Which some parties didn't participate in. But we will have to see how it goes, because everybody must be for peace. Everybody must knows that peace is what is going to benefit us. And so far, from what our reporters are showing us, it looks it's an okay picture. But we know we can't. We're not going to be counting our chickens before they've hatched. We have to wait a bit and see how things go.
Agreed. And the peace accord, that is something we need to. I think 13 political parties signed the accord, and I think about 5 or so abstain at all.
Well,
so they've given
exactly.
their reason.
Okay.
But that doesn't
That's
mean
the candidate of the PDP going there. Because as we are saying, there is an incumbent who is also seeking re-election, and there are 14 others who are also making their own pitch for his seat. And it remains to be seen, one, how convincing they can be, and also it'll show us the mindset.
The incumbent.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's the incumbent. So, everything so far so good. Everything is looking good the way it should be. The governor, the sitting governor, has cast his vote. We hear a traditional ruler. We've also been told has also cast his vote.
The candidate of PDP have casted his own vote.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of them have done that early this morning.
Okay, so these pictures look like a bit earlier. I don't think they are live pictures because we were hearing that the governor had to be patient. Something
for 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes, or
20 minutes,
but it started off well. I think it's a. I think
I hope it ends well.
Well, that is the natural expectation, because people were enthusiastic enough to come out. INEC met some of them there.
Yeah.
INEC that was supposed to open shop, set up shop. Not that INEC was late,
No.
but they still met some customers there, so to speak, using this shopping analogy.